Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/TIFU. In today's episode, TIFU by not realizing someone was in the middle of being fired. TIFU by faking being sick and starting a fake epidemic. TIFU by joking that I could be a serial killer. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. TIFU by not realizing someone was in the middle of being fired. This actually happened today. The company I work for is sometimes a little bipolar, and there is a tendency for us to move offices sometimes at what seems like a whim. For the last month or so, large portion of our offices have been going through changes due to renovations. The result of these changes is an almost musical chair quality to who is in what office and how long they may be there. So yesterday, the newest area being renovated resulted in one of the women from that area being relocated to the office next to mine. Now we all have a tendency to be a little sarcastic and constantly give each other shit around the office. So today, when I walked by the office next door and saw two managers and in there with the recently relocated woman, I didn't think much of it. Then I saw she was packing a box with her stuff. So of course my first thought was it's time for some ribbing. I poked my head in the office and loudly said, "They must not like you sharing an office over here if they are already kicking you out." Both managers immediately got horrified looks on their faces and started making gestures for me to get lost. That's when I realized the recently relocated woman was crying and packing her stuff because she had just been fired. I felt horrible and immediately slunk off to hide my face. To make it even worse, I didn't get a chance to apologize before she left the office. Edit, okay, so I keep seeing comments about contacting her to apologize? That's not going to happen. From what I heard today, the primary reason of the firing was from some extremely disturbing text messages sent to the owner's daughter the night before. After those messages, I don't think contact with her is a can of worms I want to open. 10 years from now, you will still replay this scene in your mind as you lie in bed trying to go to sleep. Be careful, op. Many years ago, I was in a training class for my job. Two people were pulled out of the training in the morning, and a supervisor, also a part of the training class, started laughing and pointing at them saying they were being fired. When we got back from lunch, the supervisor was pulled out of the training class. We never saw her again, either. The only thing you have going for you is that you were joking. The supervisor in my story was not. I grew up watching a show called The Crystal Maze, which has several rooms with time challenges. One contestant goes into a room and comes out before the time is up, either after completing the challenge or failing. If you didn't come out, you were left there and missed the rest of the episode. As a kid, I thought they were permanently left in these rooms. And always wondered why people took such a huge risk to participate. At one job, I made the joke comment, "Well, it's been nice working with you," anytime I saw someone being taken into a meeting with their manager. It turned out to not be a joke on 3 straight occasions before I stopped. I laughed out loud at this. I think I would have quit making this joke after the second time. What's the best case scenario of that joke? I thought you would have stopped after 1. Been there. Hanging out with a colleague in the staff room, a manager came to call him into a room. I joked, "Are you gonna fire him? Please fire him." We'll never forget the manager's face. I'd been there too, but I was getting fired, lol. I started a job where I was told to do tasks that were 2 or 3 years late. The director wanted me there, the manager didn't want me there at all. After my terrible first week there, I started looking for another job. My plan was to stay there until I find a new one, but eventually manager called me to a private meeting and I replied joking, "Why? So you can fire me?" He didn't reply until someone from HR entered the room. I had the opposite problem. A coworker announced, in the middle of the day, "I'm leaving now," and I, being oblivious to the context, said, "Okay, bye then." What he meant was that he was being fired and wouldn't be returning. Later, my colleagues said something along the lines of "you heartless bastard," to which I said huh? And then someone actually explained to me that he'd been let go. Whoops. TBH, even if I was paying attention in that situation, "I'm leaving now" is so vague I would think they were just leaving for the day. My office is kind of tucked back in the building, away from the other offices. My boss stood outside my office, which does not have a door, it's not a traditional office space nor job, and fired someone. The guy was across the room and my boss still stood directly in front of me. It was super awkward and also kind of entertaining. LOL, dude hadn't shown up to work in weeks and tried to sneak in to grab his check. I'm still glad I didn't talk trash though. Well, that's wrong. The manager should pull the employee into their office or boardroom, not go hassle her in her shiny new office. Likely they already had, this was them packing their stuff and being escorted out. TIFU by faking being sick and starting a fake epidemic. Last Friday, I did not want to go to work, so I called and said I was sick and probably had a minor case of the stomach flu. Actually, I could have just said I won't come because I am the owner of the company and would not have to make any excuses. Well, I came back yesterday and one of my 7 employees had called in sick. He said he was not feeling well and probably must have caught the stomach flu from me. Today, another employee called in sick with the stomach flu. So, it seems by skipping work, I started a fake epidemic. I am not in the US, so everybody gets paid 100%, unlimited sick days, I get 60% of the wages back from mandatory insurance. Yeah. I think I have to call in sick tomorrow as well. I have legitimately done this at my job and I know other coworkers have too. I knew one of my coworkers called in hungover one day, pretended to have a stomach flu, so I called in the next day with the same symptoms. One of my other coworkers did it the day after. This was years ago and nobody ever commented beyond the 3 of us talking to each other. I was on a class trip back in high school and ate some fish that ended up not agreeing with me. Nothing with my digestive system, but I turned bright red and felt hot and headachy, like I'd gotten a bad sunburn somehow after 30 minutes in the shade. People started freaking out about allergic reactions. I overall felt fine, but 3 of my classmates suddenly decided their lunches disagreed with them too and vomited. They basically over-empathized themselves into getting sick. Or rather, evolutionarily properly empathized themselves into expelling poison that they would likely have also consumed. Usually a good sign that people are burned out and need a day to recoup. My mother is a hypochondriac and would do this shit all the time. I remember one time, I just straight up didn't want to go to school, so I lied and said I was up puking last night and I felt terrible. The next day my mom was puking and had caught whatever I had. Her words were always, "I think I caught whatever you had," even though I was faking 90% of the time to get out of school. She still pulls this shit to this day, except now I legit get sick, cancer, and she can't claim to catch whatever I have because, well, cancer. Just wanted to say I wish you the best on your cancer journey. XO, my dad had cancer and has been in remission for 8 years, and another friend I know has been breast cancer free for a year. Seems technology has come a long ways. I would do this every time my boss came in sick. He would come in looking like hell, incredibly sick, but refused to go home. So a day or 2 after, I would call in sick saying I must have caught what he had. Eventually the boss stopped coming in when he was sick. Yup, checks out. I caught your stomach flu through this post, and I'm calling in today. A pro move is to call out sick after your boss is out sick. If they are sick, it makes sense that you are sick. If they are faking it, they can't accuse you of faking it without admitting they were also faking it. Especially with stomach flu or similar, and consider in current heat wave. It can also be a mental thing. The heat is killing and not great on anyone's body. If someone gives you a valid why, I can see how your brain goes, "That's it. We need rest." I suspect people know you aren't actually sick and figure they can get away with getting a day off as well. Not the end of the world as long as you, and they, don't make a habit of it, but IMO it's better to just be honest and take a personal day when you need it. But IMO it's better to just be honest and take a personal day when you need it. Hell no, PTO and sick leave are different here. PTO is when I want time off, sick leave is when I need it. Including if I just need a day to clear my head. At least from memory. Self-employment for close to a decade has me just going with what's a day off. TIFU by joking that I could be a serial killer. I have been seeing a girl for the past 2 weeks. I'm 25 and she's 32. We met through mutual friends and it was clear straight away how well we clicked. We have similar worldviews and are both slightly introverted. While I think we are both quite mature, we have a great energy and have lots of fun in each other's company. It is clear we are both quite selective about who we let into our lives. Since we met, I have taken her for 3 nice meals, enjoyed getting to know her, and done my best to be compassionate and tick all the right boxes to ensure she is happy with me. Cut to last night, we had been for a nice stroll through a park and ended up back at hers. We watched the new Black Mirror series on her sofa, specifically Lock Henry, the serial killer episode. We both really enjoyed it. Shortly after the EP finished, the food I had ordered us arrived. I collected the plates and brought her a drink over, insisting she stay comfy, let me take care of everything. I like being doting to potential partners. I handed her the food and she gives me quite an appreciative stare/smile. The look that says, "Where have you been all my life?" or something like that. She tells me I'm lovely and she's so grateful to have met me. I should have taken the compliment and continued eating. I did not. Thinking it would be a funny joke, I took the conversation down the route of what if I'm a serial killer? Somewhat charismatic, somewhat of an isolated longer, as you may have noticed. What if all of this has been aroused to get you alone? Or words to that effect. I have no idea what I was thinking. I think I briefly forgot how new we were to each other. My older friends would have known this is just my sense of humor, or predictable thought experiment. She went coldly quiet. But that did not stop me. I began talking about Ted Bundy as I tucked into my food. Joking about how we have similar personality traits. I never even thought to look up at her reaction as I waffled on. When I finally looked up, it was clear I had killed the entire mood of the day. She looked genuinely unsettled, and previously stated her downstairs neighbor was away, so probably felt truly isolated with me. Let's just say that there was no further intimacy for the rest of the evening. I went home alone and her text replies have been short and blunt since. Me and my big mouth. Pretending to be a serial killer is definitely a bad idea. If someone does joke about it with you, the only appropriate response is to say, yes, but I doubt it, because what are the chances there are 2 serial killers in the room? Second-hand embarrassment is one of my favorite things. I just feel it firsthand. I got to the part where he made the joke and noped to the comments. Oh God, I can't do embarrassment at all. One of the main reasons I couldn't finish The Office. I mean, what are the odds that there are 2 in the same room? This is a joke definitely thrown around by my friends and I. It actually got me a decent in with a girl on a date. We went down a macabre rabbit hole, got along great. Dark humor, I guess, is only for some. C'est la vie. One of the early jokes my wife and I had in our relationship was similar. Early on she asked how she could be sure I wasn't a serial killer? I just replied, how can I be sure you aren't? I haven't found any bodies yet and neither has she. That sounds like the right level and amount of serial killer joke. Babbling on in weird detail about named serial killers and how they are alike, as OP did, feels a bit over the top. Have you tried telling her you effed up, also known as apologizing? If the chemistry was so good before this, you're probably still in redeemable territory if you act fast. Yeah, I would apologize for making her feel uncomfortable, and say you would love to see her again. That your joke was just out of nervousness or that your sense of humor was off that night. Comparing yourself to a specific serial killer and listing his positive qualities could have also been seen as egotistic and creepy. You might still be able to save the situation, just be honest and accept it if she doesn't want to see you again right now. She may think it over and change her mind, but pushing for her to will make it worse. IMO. Agreed. That was a really stupid joke, I'm sorry. Then ask her out to another date in a public place, smiley face. Nice TIFU you got there, think it will help establish plausible deniability? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.